Hey guys, welcome to Becoming Well Read Part 17. It's a video series where I talk about one of the books that I recently read in an attempt to become well read. Last time we spoke about The Balloon Hoax by Edgar Allen Poe. It's one of his short stories here that was actually published in a newspaper. If you want to hear more about that, you should click on Part 16. But today we're going to talk about The Stand by Stephen King. Now, The Stand is a huge book. I believe it was quite an endeavor to write this. This is actually not the first version of The Stand that was published. This is complete, uncut, and illustrated version. So the first time that The Stand was published, his publisher, Stephen King's publisher, was like, you gotta make the book shorter, it's too long. So he cut out a lot of stuff. And then he basically published the second version with a lot of the stuff that he had originally taken out, put in. The book takes place in 3 parts. There's a lot of characters, and maybe I might touch on a few of them, but it's basically 3 parts. It's like a sci-fi post-apocalyptic story, but it doesn't start off post-apocalypse. It goes through what happens. And what happens is that this virus is let out called Captain Trips, but it's basically a really bad version of the flu, and if you get it, you're most likely going to die. It's really bad. It basically looks like a regular flu, and there's nothing any doctor can do for you. It was basically a bug that was created by the US government. That basically sort of goes through the characters' lives, some of the characters' lives, before the virus lets out and as people are dying. Then after many people die, the characters go out basically on a journey to find other survivors. There's this really weird thing going on where everybody is having the same dreams. And they come in 2 different flavors, 2 different variety of dreams. One is of this nice old lady in a cornfield, and another dream is of the Dark Man, the walking dude. Basically, he's like Satan, or the incarnation of Satan in this book. And he's accumulating people out in Las Vegas. And she is basically, I think she's in Nebraska or somewhere around there. We have these 2 big congregations of people post-apocalypse, like massive death. Eventually, the idea that both of these places cannot coexist starts getting spread around, and the people who are basically on the good side with the old lady's name was Mother Abigail, decide to send people out into the desert to go to the other place to spy. That doesn't go over too well. Some of the spies get found out and are murdered. One of them doesn't, but that's not really too important. After that, Mother Abigail basically tells like the community board that 4 of them need to go out and go over there, and that one of them will not make it over there. And it's true, one of them along the way broke his leg. His name was Stu Redman, and he didn't make it. The other 3 went, and one of them was killed in prison after they were captured. They were meant to be captured, and the other 2 saw what happened during the destruction of the evil walking dude Randall Flagg's city, and that was that an atomic bomb went off. The book had a lot of really cool characters. One of my favorite crazy characters was the Trash Can Man. The Trash Can Man was a pyromaniac who had a lot of mental health problems, and basically he liked to light things on fire. He didn't get the Captain Trips. He didn't get sick. But before the sickness happened, I guess they were trying to treat him with like electroshock therapy and other things like that. He was really a disturbed person. He would put like firecrackers in mailboxes, and people would make fun of him. But after everybody died, he was going to the biggest oil refineries and lighting them up. Trash Can Man had a dream about Randall Flagg, just like everybody else did, and he decided to go out over there and see what's happening and what he could provide. He was a really good asset to the Dark Man, Randall Flagg, the walking dude, because he was able to get weapons. For some reason, he knew how to sniff out where all the good weapons were. And in the end, he's the one who brought the atomic bomb over there, and it went off. There's a lot of supernatural things I want to get into. I think the story itself is not what's really interesting. I think the characters are what makes it interesting. There's this one girl named Fran who was pregnant. Her boyfriend kind of knocked her up right before the virus got out. The story basically starts off with her, telling her parents she's knocked up, she wants to keep the baby. The mother's horrified. The father sort of understands, but in the end, they die. It doesn't matter. Her and Stu have a relationship after everybody dies. They're on Mother Abigail's side, and she doesn't want Stu to go to the other side to see to go to the Dark Man. And her story, I feel like, was interesting. She had a lot of depth. There was a lot of emotion in that character. There's a few other characters which were on the good side, but they should have been on the bad side because they basically were going against what the community board and what the people were trying to build, which is a new community, a new government. At the end of this book, and I don't think it was in the original, the Dark Man gets resurrected, and he's resurrected somewhere different. It's not in America. It leaves a very interesting idea that this guy is immortal, he cannot die, and that evil will always be with us. One thing I didn't like was the way the atomic bomb went off. So the Dark Man, right, this guy named Randall Flagg, he had like a ball of energy that was killing off dissenters. Because basically the people he had captured from the good side, he was going to kill them. People were standing up and speaking out against their death. And that ball of light was sort of killing people. But then it went into the air as the trash can man approached with the atomic bomb, and it turned into a hand. And they kept calling it the Hand of God. And the Hand of God went and detonated the atomic bomb. It was one of the craziest things that happened. And Stu, actually, who never made it to Las Vegas, he was out in the desert, he got hurt. He saw when the atomic bomb went off, and I guess he was left alive so he could go back and tell everybody else. Two of my favorite characters were Nick Andros and Tom Cullen. Nick could not hear. He was deaf. He couldn't speak because he'd never heard words before. So he communicated through writing. Before the sickness let out, he was basically just going from town to town looking for jobs, and when the sickness happened, he was basically in a town where he had gotten beat up because he was deaf. He got picked on. Him and the sheriff had identified who had beat him up, and they had put them in jail, and people were getting sick at that time, and some of the people that had beat him up were in the jail sick. And just sheriff was sick, everybody in town was sick, but not Nick Andros. He didn't get sick. And so that's a very difficult decision. Do you let these people who are bad, and you know they're bad, and they beat you up out of jail? He was basically a very, very smart guy for being deaf. He communicated by writing, and he was essential in setting up the community board. Tom Cullen was also a really fun character. He had, I guess, a developmental disability. He was not completely dumb. He was sort of like, he was not completely dumb. He was more like Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump. He didn't understand things right away. He didn't understand really complex things. And sometimes he would have a blank face like, and things would come to him like he would understand something or have an epiphany about something that was obvious to everybody else. I really liked this character too. He was one of the spies they sent to the Dark Man, and he was actually the one that had survived. The Dark Man couldn't see him. The Dark Man had supernatural powers. Randall Flagg could not see him because his mind didn't work like everybody else's. He was special. It was pretty interesting the way they hypnotized Tom Cullen as well. And the way he spoke, he had a few quirks with the way that he spoke that I really liked and gave him a lot of personality. On his way back from Las Vegas, Nevada, he found Stu, which was hurt, who had gotten hurt going to Las Vegas. And so he picked up Stu along the way and helped him get better and brought him home. I think that was a really cool way to get Stu home. They had way too many characters. There was the judge, there was Glenn Bateman, there was Nadine Cross, Larry Underwood, Harold Lauder. I mean, this book was like an entire community of characters. There was not any one main character. The point of view kept jumping around, and so, I mean, if you have the capacity to remember everybody and to remember names, that's very good. But if you're not so good with that, it's kind of hard. So anyway, that's The Stand by Stephen King. It's a huge book. There's a lot to go through. Not for the faint of heart, I would say. But definitely one of Stephen King's better works that I've read so far in this series. What did you think of The Stand? I know that there is a movie based on this. I don't think it's a bit outdated now. But I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really make comments on that. Let me know. Do you like Stephen King in general? Do you like when authors change their point of view of the character, or when there's many main characters, or when the story is this insane and complex? I think this version had 1,153 pages, so it was a bit of a trek to go through. I need something light. I need something easy to get to. So we get to the part of Becoming Well-Read where I talk about what the next episode is going to be about. And so the 18th episode of Becoming Well-Read is going to be something light. something easy, something maybe a bit fun or thought-provoking. It's going to be Looking for Alaska by John Green. I'm not going to get into what this book is about here. You'll have to wait till the next one. But I just want to say that John Green is actually a YouTuber. He shares a channel with his brother, Hank Green, and their channel is called The Vlog Brothers. And I'll just leave that at that. I'll save my thoughts on Looking for Alaska for episode 18. Thanks for watching, guys. If you got this far, please leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more book, metal detecting, and video game related content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.